Good afternoon. Welcome to the Empower Hour show. I'm Debbie Sherrick, a holistic codependency coach with Inside Out Wellness. And my confidant, my partner, today my guest, Laura Bushbinder Hedges, is with me from Yoga Bliss. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Debbie.
How are you?
I'm doing great today, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. So Laura and I are in sunny South Florida. It's a gorgeous day, really warm today, but just a beautiful tropical day here in South Florida. So today, we want to welcome you to our show. And this show today that we're recording, that we're doing, is a kind of an impromptu, spur of the moment that I decided to do actually yesterday or the day before. And the reason I decided to do this show on needing the approval of others is for really a couple of reasons. One is because of an experience that I just went through this week, and another is it seems to be the topic of the month with some of my clients, some of my CODA clients, and that they're, struggling and wanting to make some decisions for themselves that they feel are healthy and honoring, but yet they're afraid that they won't have the approval of others, whether it be parents or children or friends or colleagues or whatever. They're afraid of the backlash and the opinion of others. So, I always say that the motto for really healing from the shame and not good enough of codependency and coming up out of that is learning self-love, and also the motto, to thine own self be true, therefore you will be false to no man. And that's a quote from Shakespeare. It's one of my very favorite quotes. I think it pertains to codependency so much. So, Laura, tell me what you think about before we start having this little conversation. And Laura and I are just kind of flow today with a conversation. We're not really prepared to have any notes like I usually do, but I'm just going to, really trust my higher self and God today that we just kind of flow with this topic. So, Laura, tell me how you feel or your experiences with needing the approval of others, maybe in your own life.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic for me because I used to be a people pleaser. And
let me just stop you right now, honey.
Yeah.
Because your head is half cut off.
Oh.
Yeah, so you need to move your computer up. We want to see your pretty face and eyes.
How's that?
Okay, that's a lot better. Thanks. Okay, go ahead.
Good. So people pleasing has always been a huge part of my life. I never like to disappoint anyone. I always want to please everyone and make them feel good about our relationship and life in general. I want to help people and serve people. And sometimes I felt like I had to go against my true self in order to please that person or circumstance. So I lost my true identity, and I felt really crappy afterwards, and I had a little bit a history of depression. So I think it's really important to honor yourself and aim true. And especially in high school, I remember I didn't really have my own sense of identity. I would look up to celebrities and magazines, the people in magazines, that I want to dress just like them because I knew people like that, and it wasn't my true authentic style or personality. I just wanted to fit in. Thankfully, through yoga and meditation and self-help work, I've learned to make aiming true to myself a priority. And it's so freeing. It's so empowering when you choose to be joyful and happy and not try to please others. You want to please yourself first before you try to please someone else.
Absolutely. And where do you think that stems from when we are growing up and we become people pleasers, and we need the approval of others to feel okay, you know, and you know that is the core of one of the cores of codependency, is that we look on the outside in order to feel good on the inside. We use things on the outside, relationships and people, and you know, whether people like us or love us or not. Need things to be right and good and feel safe on what's going on the outside of us in order to feel okay on the inside. So where do you think that stems from? I know where it stems from me, and I'm going to share that in a minute. Where do you think it stemmed from you?
I think it stems from needing the approval of others. I think it started with my parents and wanting to be the best child I could possibly be. I don't like to be reprimanded or judged. And then also insecurity of not owning my abilities and just feeling not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where it comes from. And just wanting to please others, you know. And you kind of.
I know in my home, in my dysfunctional alcoholic home growing up, I never was role modeled, especially from my mother. I was never role modeled that it was okay to take care of yourself or put yourself first. I never was role modeled that to thine own self be true. And also, I never got the message that it was okay for my needs to be asked for or for my needs to be met. So it was always a very, codependent atmosphere of pleasing the alcoholic, walking on eggshells. What my father did or said went. My mom had no power of opinion of herself or decisions. My dad was the one that made all the decisions, and if you didn't like it, too bad. And so my mother really never grew up with a voice being true to herself. And then also us kids in growing up in that environment, we never shared about our feelings when things would happen or how we were feeling in the home. There was a lot of fear, waiting for the other shoe to drop, being angry a lot because of what was going on in the home. And yet we were never encouraged to talk about our feelings and to speak up for ourselves. And to say, this doesn't feel good, or this is what I want, or this is what I need right now. And, when you're not brought up in a home and taught that to your children, or to children aren't taught that, you grow up giving your power away to other people because you're used to giving your power away growing up. There's someone in the home that has all the power. And so when you grow up like that, you don't even realize that you have any power.
Right.
And so therefore we grow up, being people pleaser, needing the approval of others to be okay. So, I see this a lot with clients, when they first come and we're first starting to work together. You mentioned something about loss of identity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is, our journey and our path as becoming empowered women and men, that we don't know who we are. We've lost our identity. We've given our power away to others or situations that we're in, and we feel trapped. And most people don't realize that they have power to get out of that situation or make decisions for themselves. They don't realize that they have that power within them, and they're not trapped, and then tend to have like a victim mentality of, look what's happening to me. I have no power over this. I'm the victim of these circumstances, and I have no choice in the matter. And that's usually kind of how people begin, and they don't even know what their needs are. They go, I have no clue what my needs are. I have no clue what self-love looks like. I don't even know how to begin to know. And once we start realizing and digging in, what are your needs and what is it you'd like, then you have to get to the place of having the courage and the power to speak up for those needs and being true for yourself. And sometimes that's really scary.
Yeah. Yeah, just the word no was very difficult for me to speak up for myself and say, no, I don't want to do that, or no, I don't feel like that's the right thing to do. So there's this awesome quote. It says, saying yes to something you don't want to do isn't about pleasing someone else. It's about you avoiding the discomfort that comes with saying no. And you have to know the difference, right?
Yes, yes. And I like that saying too, that no is a complete sentence.
Right, yes.
You know, when we say no about something, we don't have to get into defending and debating about it and explaining why we're saying no. You know, no is a complete sentence. So, you know, anyway, I had an experience last week where I am really, really excited and happy about something new that's happening in my life. And so I, in my excitement and my happiness about it, you know, I'm going through a lot of changes right now. Just went through a divorce, and I'm going through, you know, a lot of new chapters in my life right now, and a lot of new doors are opening, a lot of old doors are closing. And so it's been really quite a ride and excitement. And so in my excitement and my happiness of some of these new things, particularly one thing that's been happening in my life that I'm very happy and excited about, and I went to share it with some family members because I wanted to share my happiness with them, and I had the expectation that they were going to be just as excited and happy about that too. And it was the total opposite. You know, they totally reacted and judged and attacked and just whatever. They just were not happy about it. And so I was really surprised about that. And I really, you know, at first, and here's something that we do too, you know, and I share with people on the Power Hour show, my clients, and you know me, Laura, you've known me for a long time. I'm pretty much an open book. Yeah. You know, I don't put my stuff all over Facebook and, you know, be like that, but I like to share my experiences that I go through and my feelings, and so I can inspire, motivate others, and say, you know what, I'm just like you. I'm on the path that you're on this growing journey and learning self-love and learning how to be true to myself and all this. So a lot of times when we go to share something that we feel we're being true to ourselves about, or a decision that we're making, and others don't react the right way, one of the things that can happen is that we can immediately, from our past, go into shame and feeling not good enough. So that's kind of where I went. You know, immediately when I was being judged and attacked about this, I found myself, you know, like I didn't really question what I was doing, but I started feeling that feeling of not good enough and shame, and that I was doing something wrong. And you know, immediately, because I have so many tools that I learned to work with and all, I really went inward and started really doing some introspective work on why I was feeling that way, what was really going on. I had to step back and detach from the situation. And you know, it came up about, you know, do I need the approval of these people for what I'm doing in my life, and why am I feeling not good enough? And so, you know, I talked to my safety net, my people that support me, know me, and accountable to, and we really processed and worked through this and came to the conclusion, you know, that, you know what, this is their stuff. How they reacted is not my responsibility, which I know that, and how they reacted is their issues and their stuff, and that's not my responsibility. And so they're going to have to work through that. But also that it's important that I follow my heart, and that I know what I'm doing is right, and it's happiness, and that I feel God is in it, and that I can validate myself in that, regardless of what other people's opinions are or what they're thinking. So let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about learning to validate ourselves and being validated from God. Because, you know, I always share with people, you know, really true health and self-love is when we can get to the place where we can validate ourselves on all our decisions that we're making. And all we need is the validation from God, that we have peace with God, that we're doing what we need to do for ourselves, and that we feel comfortable and peaceful about it within ourselves, that we're on the right path and we're making the right choices. And everyone else around us could be reacting all over the place and not agreeing with it. And, you know, I call that backlash. So have you ever experienced that, Laura, when you're really stepping out and making a healthy decision for yourself, or feel like you're, you know, taking a different direction in your life, making choices, and you got a lot of backlash from other people?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. If I made a career choice, or I'm trying something new and someone didn't approve, I immediately would feel shame and guilt and not good enough. But I learned that surrender and forgiveness is huge when dealing with other people. And I find that my days are best if I sit in stillness, meditation, or just sitting and being quiet with myself before the day starts or before I'm about to do something new, so that I can feel that peace, that empowerment, that knowing that I am doing the right thing, and anything else that goes around me, anyone else's reaction, I'm in this bubble of serenity and
Yes.
and nothing else can shake me from that experience, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I do that with like going into the tube of white light, asking God to seal me in his tube of white light of protection, you know, all around me, my whole aura, and that, you know, no evil can come near me, or no fiery darts or negative energy can come near me, because I'm sealed in that white light. So kind of the same thing. And, you know, when we get, that's the tough part, is when we are making a decision and we're trying to really be true to ourselves and not need the approval of others. And yet, you know, whenever you're changing, going through change, and you're changing the system, and you're changing the dynamic of a relationship, you're changing the dance of the relationship, we call that, because we do have a dance that we do with certain people. And maybe it can be that you've been really enmeshed in certain relationships. It can be, you know, a boyfriend, spouse, children, parents, colleagues, friends, that there's been too much enmeshment and not enough boundaries set. It can be that you're making a healthy decision for yourself, and you're having to say no to that person, and you're changing the dynamic of the relationship. But whatever it is, they're going to react because there's change. And when there's change, there comes in fear, and what about me, and I'm feeling rejected, and I'm scared because things are changing, and whatever they're feeling, we can expect, and I tell clients this, you can expect backlash. You know, when you're changing the system and you're changing the relationship and you're making decisions that are going to change things up, people are going to react. And it's that backlash that we have to work through. That's when we really show that if we need the approval of others, when we can really be true to ourselves and follow our path and honor ourselves no matter what other people are doing. And I really, you know, this last week, I thank God, you know, for this serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that's where that prayer really comes in, because we cannot change how other people react to us. We cannot make people approve of everything we do. You know how we talk about, Laura, I think we did this on a show one time about honoring our feelings, that it is impossible to take care of our own feelings and someone else's at the same time.
And it starts with you. It begins with you. You know, they say put on the oxygen mask for yourself so that you can help the person next to you, or your child in need. You have to give yourself self-love and approval before you can care for anyone else. I think the hardest thing when you're dealing with family and someone close to you is just that much more emotional.
Yes.
And it's so much harder to accept their reaction or their backlash when they're so connected to you, but you know that it's not you and your decision, it's their reaction. And there's really nothing you can change about it.
Yes. Well, we have, you know, we have emotional attachments to those that we love and those that we care about. You know, we don't want to hurt their feelings. You know, some of the reasons that we're not true to ourselves, we're afraid. And that's what we need to look at. You know, why am I not true to myself? Why am I afraid to make these decisions? Because I need the approval of others. That's about us. You know, are you afraid that they're going to withdraw love? Are you afraid that they're going to be mad at you? Are you afraid that they're going to disapprove? Are you afraid that they're going to get angry and lash out at you? You know, all of those, or they're going to leave you. Maybe you're afraid of rejection and abandonment. And if I make this decision and true to myself, this person's going to withdraw love from me. And I'm afraid of that. But you know what? The cost of not being true to you and not following your heart and your path and what you feel is right for you is so much higher. The cost of that is a lot higher than worrying about being rejected, because I have found that when we are really true to ourselves, when we follow the path that God has us on and what is happening in our life, that He takes care of that. He takes care of those people. He takes care of those situations. You can never go wrong. There's just such an anointing on us and a blessing on us when we are true to ourselves.
Yes.
So I think a lot of this is, you know, we need to go within and look at, why is it that I need this person's approval? Why is it that I'm afraid to make this decision or take care of myself? What is it within me? It's not about them. You know, how they react is their responsibility. It's not our responsibility to take care of their feelings. We just need to honor our own feelings and be true to that. How they're feeling is their responsibility. I think with codependency, we've been so used to caretaking other people's feelings, taking care of them, enabling that they don't get upset. And, you know, I can remember one time when my girls were teenagers, I just thought of this. This is a good example. I can remember one time when the girls were in high school and they were experiencing, you know, their first boyfriends and first loves and all. And one particular daughter was really crazy. You know, I think it was like her first puppy love experience. And she was really, really crazy over this boy. And he dumped her, broke up with her. And she was really having a really hard time. She didn't want to eat. She was crying all the time, you know, girls, and how emotional and dramatic they can be at that age. And so I felt so bad for her because she was really heartbroken. And she would come home from school and go throw herself on the bed and start crying and all. And you know, I just wanted to help her through that. I would go in and try to talk to her and say, honey, if you want to talk about this, you know, let's share your feelings, let's get it out, let's talk. And she'd say, leave me alone, Mom, you know. And so anyway, I was talking to one of my very best friends who is a therapist, and I was sharing with her, and she said something to me. She said, you know what, Debbie? She says, you need to not rescue her through her feelings, that this is the time that she needs to learn to take responsibility for what she's feeling and let her learn to rescue herself and process her own self through her sadness, through her heartbreak, through her anger and all the feelings she's going through. She knows you're there if she needs you. She knows that. But you trying to make her feel better and not wanting her to hurt, you want to rescue her out of her pain. And, you know, I appreciated that so much because I wasn't seeing that, you know, as a mom. And I did. I wanted her heartbreak to go away. I wanted her to feel better. I did not want her to have to go through pain and the heartache and the crying and sadness and not wanting to eat and all those things she was going through. And so I loved, that was really good advice to me, that I just needed to step back and not rescue what she was going through. And you know, as codependents, we want to rescue our children. We want to rescue our loved ones with what they're going through, and we want to rescue their feelings. If they're upset or feeling rejected or angry, we want to take care of that. I mean, that's our old pattern to do. And we have to realize we're not responsible for other people's feelings and what they're going through. We can be there to support them, you know, and listen, and if they ask our advice, but you know, this going in to take care of and rescue, you know, is something that we need to allow them to grow up to do.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a great lesson for everyone to take in, to let people go through their feelings and go through their pain and feel that uncomfortable feeling, so that if it happens again, they know how to deal with it. And if you're not there at that particular moment, they'll know how to, soothe themselves, self-heal.
Mhm. And two, I'm thinking about, when we go to be at first, when we start honoring to be true to ourselves and taking care of ourselves or asking for our needs to be met, when it comes to needing the approval of others, if we're not used, that's not familiar to us, that we're not used to taking care of ourselves, in the beginning, you can feel guilty about that. Like you're doing something wrong. Like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't, if you're not used to doing that and you start doing it, I hear clients say, well, I feel so selfish taking care of myself. I feel so selfish over here doing what I feel is that I need to do for me, and my whole family is mad at me. I feel like I'm hurting them. I feel like I'm not being, I need to take care of them, and I'm doing the wrong thing. And those are some of those false belief systems that we grew up with, that it's, that message, it is not okay to take care of you first. And we know that, even God says to love thy neighbor as much as you love yourself. And you mentioned the oxygen mask, like put that on first, take care of you so you're able to help others. So, being true to ourselves is not a selfish thing. It's just a self-love. And you know what, too? I'm thinking, when we are true to ourselves, we really are being true to others. We're being honest with them because we're being true to ourselves. And in the long run, it's going to build healthier relationships because they're going to know, your truth. They're going to know that, you gave the example of being true to yourself and following your heart, even though in the time being, they may be mad about it and they may react to it. In the long run, we are showing others how to be true to ourselves and how to follow our heart in our own path.
Right, and I think that's why it's so important to lead by example and feel that little brief moment of, or a few days of discomfort and backlash, and maybe even the shame comes up, but know that you're being true to yourself, and that person will see what you're doing and hopefully in the long run do the same.
Yes.
Be true to
Yes. I think if you were to ask my kids, what's one thing that your mom believes in or has always said to you, and I think they would all answer, to thine own self be true. Because, kids growing up too, when they're in adolescence or teenagers, it's, they want to be loved, they want to be liked, they want their peers to like them, and they want the approval of their friends. And so, I used to drill that in them, what do you want to do? What do you feel is true for you, no matter what your friends are saying or doing? Always be true to yourself. Therefore, you will be false to nobody. People are going to know who you are, and you're not going to pretend to be something else because you're being true to you. And, I just want to end this in saying, too, that, when we are making decisions or we feel like we're being true to ourselves and others are having a hard time with it, I think it's so important to pray for them and to just release that to God. Let go and let God, live and let live. Let them work through that, how they need to work through that. And we just need, to, instead of trying to rescue or get them to get it, and that's another thing that codependents are famous for, is that we really want people to get it. We try to get them to understand it, and we just keep explaining and defending ourselves and saying why we're making these decisions. And we just need to let it go, give it to God, let God deal with them, and pray for them, and then continue, to stay on our path and be true to ourselves.
Yes.
So this was a great topic today. Do you have anything else, Laura, that you want to say about needing the approval of others before we end our show today?
I think we pretty much covered it, but I love the lesson of, owning your truth and staying true to yourself at all times in all circumstances, and you'll feel so much better. You'll feel at peace and at ease and more joyful. So
yes, and I think it's also, we need to say too, that it's very important when we're working through this not needing the approval of others, and we're really learning how to be true to ourselves, that I cannot stress enough how important it is to have a support system. that you need people around you when you're getting that backlash. You need people, to help you look at things objectively, because when you're in the emotion of that, it's, you might be going into shame and not good enough and fear and, oh, I did the wrong thing. Why did I say that to them? Why am I doing this? Maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I'm being selfish. And so you need healthy people around you, your coach or therapist or support system or sponsor or whoever it is, safety net friends that are supporting you in your journey. We need that. We need them. You need those people that you can call and say, look, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm going through. And they can help you walk through that, because other people can be a lot more objective about your life and what you're going through than we can. We all need a coach. We all need, we have God we can go to. And, I believe in journaling a lot and getting those feelings out and processing through that. But you really need a support system if you're really trying to be true to yourself and make some really major, life-changing decisions, and you're going down these new paths. You need people who are there for you. Absolutely. So anyway, thank you guys for joining us today. We could go on and on probably about this topic. So, I just want to challenge you that each day, really have the focus of honoring and being true to you and your path, seeking, your higher power, what that is for you, and making those decisions. And sometimes it just has to start out with little baby decisions that you're making, but have a self-love day, guys. Be true to yourself, and we will see you in a few weeks back on the Power Hour show. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye. Thanks, Laura, so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Namaste.
Love you, girl. Namaste to you all. Bye-bye.